By now you've all heard about gluten. The buzzword gluten is everywhere, gluten-free. But what is gluten? And is it really bad for us? Today I'm going to talk about 5 reasons why you should avoid gluten, but especially women. And number 5 is going to surprise you. I'll see you here in a minute. Welcome, Wellness Warriors. I'm Linda with Fit. I'm not in workout clothes, which I know is odd and crazy. Unusual for me. I live in my workout clothes. But today we're talking nutrition, gluten specifically. And although my channel is typically workouts, nutrition is everything. It's the key component for health, wellness, and weight loss, especially midlife. I'm in my 50s. I understand women go through a lot of changes and struggle with a lot of things for weight loss especially. And I've been helping women for decades with this. So today we're talking gluten, and specifically the 5 reasons you should avoid gluten. Number 5 is going to surprise you. So let's get right to it. What is gluten? What the heck is gluten? Well, gluten is a protein found in wheat and grains. Is it new? No. It's always been there. However, since the 90s, when the low-fat craze came about and the food pyramid, basically from the FDA, recommended the maximum amount of grains and carbs as our main source of nutrition, which I think we all know by now is crazy and is honestly the exact opposite of what it should be. But since then, the low-fat craze really amped up the intake of carbs and amped up the obesity problem in this country. So when this low-fat, high-carb craze started, these companies started massively upping their manufacturing of wheat products and grains and breads and all this processed product. And they started massively adding gluten, gluten is a glue, hence the name. It is literally the glue that binds and holds together these products, you know, the shape of pasta, the shape of your bread, it glues it together. And since they've been increasing the amount of gluten and really genetically modifying these foods, these grains and these carb products, there's so much more gluten in them that many of us, probably most of us, whether you know it or not, cannot handle gluten and cannot process it. And we become intolerant, allergic, or sensitive, to gluten. So what happens? Well, there's really, I think, 5 key side effects from gluten. There's quite a few, but 5 of them are really important. There's things like indigestion, headaches, nausea, chronic fatigue. Those are also some side effects and health issues, but we're not going to talk about those today specifically. Number 1 I want to discuss is celiac disease. Now, celiac disease greatly affects women. In fact, 60 to 70% of people diagnosed with celiac are women. So that's why that's number 1 as far as the gluten intolerance. Celiac disease is an immune reaction to gluten. And basically, this response damages the small intestine and interferes with absorption of nutrients. So it's very unhealthy for digestion, for our nutrient absorption, and people with celiac. It's a big contributor to celiac. So by all means, you should avoid gluten if you've been diagnosed with celiac. It's probably the #1 contributor. The next one is joint pain. You may not really put that together or think, okay, I never thought about gluten and joint pain, but joint pain is also an immune response. And this immune response is from the gluten in the wheat and the carbohydrates, the grains. So it causes inflammation. That's the response. That's the immune response. And chronic joint pain or arthritis is inflammation. If you remove the foods that cause the inflammation, the arthritis will resolve or greatly reduce. Sugars do the same. So if you suffer with any kind of joint pain, you need to remove your gluten, your grains, and your sugars. Bloating, digestive issues. When the body can't properly process gluten, the gluten proteins, which there are way too many in the modern processed carbohydrate diet, it causes damage to the lining of the small intestine, and that causes digestive issues. #4, skin problems. This is a big one, and I don't think many people put this together, but it's huge. Think about dermatitis, psoriasis, eczema, hives, acne, alopecia. I was trying to think of the last one. Believe it or not, all of these issues can be gluten related, wheat related, other things too, but we're talking gluten today. Alopecia has actually been reversed when people remove gluten from their diet. What is alopecia? Hair loss. It can be anywhere, but most of us know it, hair loss on our scalp, on our head. So your hair, if you suffer from alopecia, you might have bald spots, might be all of your hair. Hair has been shown in studies to actually grow back when gluten is removed. That's huge. Okay, #5, the big one, the most toxic one. I think the most dangerous one is glyphosate. What is glyphosate? Glyphosate is essentially an herbicide, otherwise known as Roundup. Yes, weed killer. We all have it at home, I'm sure. But sadly, Roundup or glyphosate there are traces found in 100% of wheat products, wheat and grains. Not only that, even organic grains and wheats show traces of glyphosate. Much, much, much smaller traces, much less amounts, but it's still there. So glyphosate obviously is very dangerous, very toxic. Do you want to eat Roundup? I know I don't. Who wants to eat Roundup? It's in a lot of our foods, and it's so sad, but it is. So this is part of our genetically modified frankenfood problem in this country. But if you want to avoid eating Roundup, avoid glyphosate, remove all grains, all of them, because they are all sprayed heavily, heavily, heavily with glyphosate. There's other foods for another time that are also heavily sprayed with glyphosate. But so those are the 5 key issues that affect our body with gluten. And by the way, glyphosate causes cancer, it's been found. So I hope you got some information, some quality information from today. I'm passionate about nutritional healing, and the majority of chronic ailments are nutrition related and can be reversed, including diabetes. So you're in control. Knowledge is power. I hope this helped today, and join me next week. We're going to continue on this nutritional healing. We're going to help you get better, help you get healthier, lose weight, feel great, balance your hormones. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. I'm Linda, LPIT Fit, and I'll see you here next week. Have a great week.